Hello tacticians, it's Nox here, and today I'm going to be looking at the latest faction to join in the faction war, the Tyranids, with a special guest star of the Patermine. But before I go into them and my thoughts, I just want to say my thank yous, and today they go to Tramontina, Tex-Mex, Miro Metkovich, Ninja Waffles, Millie McKinn, Master Sergeant and Player 6884. All of you have used my friend code and it is very much appreciated, as it really does help me out. So thank you once again. And now, let's have a look at these Tyranids. First up is the Neurothrope, who is probably the hardest hitting member of the team, mainly thanks to the passive of the Neuroparasite, where the more stacks of the Neuroparasite that either you or the enemy has on your characters, the harder the Neurothrope will hit them. And that can, probably very situationally, be paired with Spirit Leech, which will heal for about 50% of the total damage that the Neurothrope deals with this active ability. You can reduce the amount of damage it does because it has close combat weakness, but it also has Shadow in the Warp, which means Psykers will deal less psychic damage. And of course, Synapse. This is quite important to bear in mind when you consider the Winged Tyranid Prime, which we'll look at in a little bit. Next up, we have the Tyrant Guard, who is the literal tank of the Tyranid faction. And this is mainly due to his Guardian Organism passive ability, so he's going to want to stay within range of anyone with a Synapse ability, because it and anyone else standing next to it will take less damage during the enemy's next turn. So that's actually quite useful to keep the Tyranids alive. Although he is a tank, he has got the ability to hit very hard, assuming he doesn't move, thanks to the Crushing Strike trait, which means he'll deal 50% more damage if it doesn't move this turn. So if you're in combat with him, try and move away. However, he won't always let you run away because of the Crushing Claws, which deals piercing damage to an adjacent enemy and taunts them for 1 round. So, as I said, you're not going anywhere. Enemies then adjacent to both the Tyrant Guard and that target take some physical damage, so it's not going to do too much damage to the others, but they are going to get pushed back 1 hex, which is going to leave space for the Tyranids to move in. And all of those affected units will become suppressed for a round, which means they'll have 1 less movement and cannot go into Overwatch. Then we have the passive summoner of the group, the Winged Prime. And again, it's that passive ability which really pushes him over the edge. Whenever the Winged Tyranid Prime or another friendly unit with Synapse, so that's going to be the Neurotyrant and also the Patermine, perform a normal attack against an enemy, and that enemy survives, it will then summon a Hormigant adjacent to the target, which then immediately attacks. But bear in mind, there is a certain number of Hormigants that can be summoned depending on whether you're rare or epic level. And these Hormigants will obviously cause havoc for anyone relying on their Overwatch. Then it has the Alpha Warrior active ability, where it will summon in a Tyranid Warrior, which also has Synapse. But the thing to watch out for is this Tyranid Warrior can be summoned in Synapse range of anyone with the Synapse trait, which will also include the Patermine. This guy also has flying, and he's going to be more than happy to swoop in and start chomping away at your more squishy units. Moving on to DeathLeaper, this guy is going to be darting all over the battlefield. Not only does he have Infiltrate, meaning he won't trigger that Overwatch, he also has Camouflage to keep him safe from any ranged attacks that you may want to shoot at him. And if you're thinking about attacking him in combat, he's also terrifying, so there's a damage reduction there as well. But if he ends up charging you, he will end up gaining additional damage and heal himself. And not only that, he'll add in some suppression, just for good measure. But if you think you can shoot him before he gets to you, it's the fear of the unseen that you're going to need to watch out for. If the DeathLeaper has not moved this turn, and it's not in Deep Strike, which basically means it can't be the first turn, all enemies within 2 hexes get suppressed, which they probably won't be because they'll probably activate this on the second turn. The DeathLeaper vanishes and cannot be targeted or damaged for a round. In its next turn, its attacks deal an additional amount of direct damage, and that is 100% pierce ratio, and it can move to any free hex on the battlefield that's either within Synapse range, has tall grass, or is not adjacent to an enemy. So yes, this guy will end up next to one of your guys and will start trying to chew its head off. And the character who is making a very special visit to this faction is the Patermine, the character we just had the legendary event for. So if you have unlocked him, you'll be able to use him here. And if you haven't unlocked the Patermine, you still will be able to use the Patermine, but it will be capped at the common level, so be very careful about which rarity you use if you do choose this faction. Just like DeathLeaper, the Patermine has Infiltrate, so if the owner of this faction triggers Overwatch, they're probably doing something a little bit wrong, because the Patermine and DeathLeaper both have a decent movement and should really be moving in to make sure those Overwatch attacks don't go off. He also has Synapse, and that will really help the DeathLeaper get to where you want him to, or indeed, because of that Synapse, he'll be triggering the Termagants to arrive from the Winged Tyranid Prime. And just like DeathLeaper, this guy is terrifying, so he'll be taking less damage in melee, so you're going to want to shoot him. However, that may not be so easy, because with his movement of 4 and Unstoppable, he'll be getting to exactly where he wants to get to. The passive ability Cosmic Horror means that whenever he defeats an enemy, it will place a decoy on the hex of that enemy, and other enemies surrounding the defeated unit will have a 50% chance to be suppressed for 1 round, and have a 50% chance to trigger the battle fatigue a second time, if they have it. So if you have your summons, they might be running away. And these decoys are important to the Patermine, as if he steps on them, he'll be able to heal himself up as well. And if that wasn't enough reason to step on those decoys, the other one is the Might from Below. So if he kills one of your characters, and he has multiple decoys next to him, and the character he just killed, you'll be seeing multiple Gene Stealers spawn from them. Admittedly, I reckon you'll see 1, or if you're unlucky, 2, but I wouldn't have thought you'd see any more than that. But Gene Stealers are a summon that you should be wary of, as they also have Ambush, meaning they're going to come back, Infiltrate, and Unstoppable. So they're going to be going wherever they wish. So enough talk, let's see them in action. So let's see how the Tyranids can do against the Orks. Now bear in mind, this is on the test build, I am controlling both sides, and I am going to be playing in favour of the Tyranids to try and show them off. Now as always, make sure you know where the enemy can get to. I think only the Snapper Wrecker can get to this hit's power up. Gibber Scraps in theory could with his tank, but Snotflogger will not quite get there. And on this side, only Boss Skullgorts can attack the melee hit's power up. So what we'll do, we'll put the melee hits power up on the Tyrant Guard, and we'll put the Neurothrope near it to make sure it will get its Guardian Organism buff. The Patermine will pick up the hits, and let's just put the others where they're going to be quite safe. Now the Orc player has a choice. They can either charge forward or try and play it cagey, and in this case I'm going to be charging forward, making sure to pick up the health power-up with Snotflogger, as he is a bit of a combat beast. We'll go forward and summon in a tank, and let's see. We don't want Boss Skullgorts in harm's way, so he's going to stay out of harm's way. Snapper Wrecker will pick up the power. It's tempting to get that, but I think I'm going to have to keep Tank Smasher safe. Back to the Tyranids. First up, we're going to attack Snapper Wrecker and put that Neuroparasite on him. Next up, we're going to attack it with the Tyrant Guard and use his active ability to make sure he doesn't go anywhere if he was to survive, but it looks like with that power up he can destroy him in 1 turn. Now bear in mind, because of the Guardian Organism, anyone who stands on this will not only get less damage but also has the arm power up as well. But I think we're going to send DeathLeaper into Deep Strike, and we're going to summon him in at some point to kill someone horribly. Just looking where I could bring in the Alpha Warrior, as he will attack, and that will mean another Termagant will get summoned in. So we're going to put him on that, hoping that the combination of the power-up and the Guardian Organism will help keep it alive. And the Patermine, unfortunately, can only really attack here, and we don't really want him in charge of all the Orcs, so we're going to put him over here instead. First thing that they're going to do is, well, I guess they're going to have to charge the Patermine. That Guardian Organism really helping keeping him alive. Snotflogger's going to move in and... ooh, here? Yeah, let's put him here to summon in the Runts, who will then attack. I was hoping one would go on the Tyrant Guard here to make sure that he was taunted and wouldn't be able to attack Boss Skullgorts. So we'll take this guy over, nearly killing that guy, but now we've run out of people who can shoot. So, well... let's try and take out this guy. Not quite. So things at this point in time are not looking great for the Tyranids. So let's see what they can actually do. First up, let's kill this guy off because he's going to be given a shield to everyone around him. Next, let's use Might from Below on Boss Golgorts to kill him off and summon in a Pure Strength Gene Stealer. We'll attack Tank Smasher here with the Neurothrope. And can we kill him with DeathLeaper? Well, we can certainly try. And there he goes, one big hit. And we'll get rid of one of the runts with the Winged Tyranid Prime. So, the Orks now have a couple of their summons left who are, well, tearing a few people apart. And what we're going to do, we're going to kill probably, well, who do you kill? You're going to try and want to get as many points as possible at this little point as the Orks, so you'd probably just kill off the Patermine. You'll get your point and hope that Snotflogger here will last at least 1 or 2 turns before he dies and you can kill off another one. We'll use the heal on the Neurothrope. DeathLeaper will move into combat. The Winged Prime will attack, summoning in the Termagant, and it's all over. So now, what about the Tau? Well, let's see. We're going to start with the usual opening, as I think they were safe that way. And we'll just move everyone forward. So again, the Tau need to do something. And as I've said before, Overwatch is going to be of absolute no use here. But putting Ravas on the damage power-up may help in the long run. So we can still do that. And we will still bring in the drones, as quite frankly, they're going to be blocking routes in, and it's going to make the Tyranid player at least have to take care of Ravas before doing anything else. We'll target the Patermine with Showsill here. And what should we do with these two? Well, I don't think we'll do any damage against him, so we're just going to keep them back ready to be used. So, as I said before, a Tyranid player who triggers Overwatch is doing something wrong. We've got 2 characters here who've got Infiltrate, and we've got another one who can just put Suppression on from range, which will also bring in someone who will also mean he can't Overwatch. We'll see if we can kill Showsill in 1 attack from the Patermine, which he does, and in comes a Gene Stealer, which attacks immediately and kills Darkstrider. That was something I was not expecting. So be wary of those chained effects. And DeathLeaper, he's going to go into Deep Strike. Let's keep him safe and bring him in where we want him to go. And we'll put the Tyranid Prime. Actually, I'm going to do the same as I did last time with the Tyranid Prime. Let's get the Alpha Warrior on here. So the Tau are already down 2 people, and there's not much they can do. But let's see what they can do. It looks like Shadowsun can do quite a bit of damage over here. So maybe we'll start off with Ravas attacking the Patermine, because we want to get revenge for killing off Showsill. Shadowsun gets a health power-up, which is quite nice of him to have, and Ornshi, well, I've kind of left him on his own accidentally there, so let's see what he can do against a normal Gene Stealer. Not much, but Tau aren't really known for their combat prowess, as the Gene Stealer rips Ornshi apart. I guess that is kind of what you expect with the Tyranids who are excelling in combat, and Tau who don't. DeathLeaper can move in and just kill Ravas, which only leaves very few left. So Shadowsun here wants to try and score some points. Now the only way we can do this, well, we can't even use her active. We can hope for a crit. Not quite. And I think it's all over. And finally, the Death Guard. And again, we're going to be using the same opening. Now, as I've mentioned before, this is me controlling both, and I am going to be favouring the Tyranids. But let's see what we can actually do. The Death Guard, well, they're not the fastest, and we do want one of our guys to pick this power-up up, because we don't want the Tyranids to get it. But can they get it? They can indeed. So let's make sure we've got someone there, and we're going to protect him with Nauseous Rotbone. And then say, you'll go Tyranids, what are you going to do against the heaviest armoured characters in the game? Well, the Patermine's going to go and get some extra health, and the Neurothrope is going to start putting suppression on these guys. And I think, again, DeathLeaper will go into Deep Strike to be used elsewhere. And again, the same sort of thing here. Why he shot him and not this guy over here, no one will ever know. So, Rotbone will heal, which gets rid of the neuroparasite, so I probably should have done an AoE heal there. And let's see what damage we can do to the Tyrant Guard. Not enough. And what we can do with Typhus is target with his breath attack, nearly killing it. Can we kill it off? So close and yet so far. Let's kill this one with Corodius. Lots of damage there, but again, I think Corodius was saved by his resilient trait. The Neurothrope now has a chance of just killing Rotbone, who is again saved by the resilient trait. And we're going to use the Crushing Claws to knock him back one. And again, they're saved by the resilient trait. How on earth are we supposed to do this? Right, okay. The Patermine's going to go up and attack Typhus. Not doing much damage, but he's not doing it for that. He's doing it to make sure that we can bring the DeathLeaper and kill off Nauseous Rotbone. There you go. And we'll move him up here. Now, things probably aren't looking so rosy for the Death Guard, so let's see what they can actually do. First of all, kill off him. Secondly, I think it might be worthwhile bringing in the Poxwalkers. Only got 2, but they do bring in more Poxwalkers when they attack. And I think we'll be attacking the Neurothrope, because he is absolutely lethal. And also the Patermine. But because the health doesn't take much damage. And this is where the summons from the Tyranids went to work and killed off a bunch of the enemy summons. And we're not left with many left. So let's get to work. The first thing we'll do is attack Typhus with the Neuroparasite to make sure that he gets more damage each time. And we'll attack Maladus with DeathLeaper and finish him off with the Wing Prime. Hopefully. There you go. And the Patermine will also use his Might from Below, which will add on a Parasite. Oh, and kill Typhus as well. And the game is over. So what should you do if you face the Tyranids? I think the first protocol is kill off one of their 2 main characters, the Neurothrope, who can do insane amounts of damage given time, or the Winged Prime, who will be summoning in those Termagants. With those dealt with, then the damage potential of the team really will be reduced. However, don't underestimate the power of either DeathLeaper or the Patermine. They will do a lot of damage given the chance. And if you're playing as the Tyranids, I certainly hope you enjoy them. And remember, don't charge in. You need to take those attacks on your terms. But given the opportunity, I think they're going to be a very fun faction to use whilst they still have access to the Patermine. I will of course update this as and when their newest character is released in December, so we'll have a look at them again then. And I hope you all have a fantastic time in the upcoming Faction Tournament Arena. If you like these videos, then it would be much appreciated if you at least think about using my friend code, as it really does help me out. Or if you or your guilds are looking for a new home, please reach out to any of the guilds shown, as we'll always welcome new people into our midst. As always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you on the battlefield.